so that we have if it's possible, I would like to know if you can hear me. I'm here for those on YouTube or Facebook, um, because it seems that some people were not able to hear what I was saying on Facebook. However, when I checked the video later on, the sound seemed to be correct. Now, nothing of any comments like that from Instagram, so I will assume that you guys love it. Ah, hello there. Thank you for joining. Can you hear me? Can you hear me in Instagram? If you can hear me in Instagram, can you send me a thumbs up? Perhaps is uh, perhaps we have time before more people join. Check up on technical issues. On Facebook, I don't have anybody. Yeah, so I don't have anybody telling me that they cannot hear me. So I will assume that they do. So again, thanks a lot for joining today to the second warm-up. Um, okay, thank you, Raquel. The second warm-up session for you as the enterprise. And what we're going to be doing today is to dive into the world of freelancing. So we're going to see some statistics, some data, and some charts that will help us to create to have a rough yet very descriptive picture of how the world of freelancing look like, and who are freelancing, who are the new or not new freelancers, who's hiring, how many of us are there, things like that. And this is important in terms of warming up, because all this information that we're receiving in these warm-up sessions will create the bulk of knowledge. And then on July 8th, we are going to build that knowledge into something that we can use personally. So it's good to stay in touch and follow up the warm-up sessions. What I'm going to be doing now, I will share a screen where I'm going to be showing you, as I say, numbers and charts of what freelancing looks like in 2021. The data and charts that I will show you come from different resources. These are research-based, not academic research-based, but industry research-based information. And again, it will give us the idea of how, if we decide to go into freelancing or decide to continue to freelancing, how can we better approach the opportunities of having a professional life as a freelancer that provides us the means for the kind of life that we want to have. All right. Just to give you a quick hint, the future looks pretty bright for freelancing. Again, many things need to be understood, and many things need to be done before we can actually succeed as a freelancer. Okay. So, with no further ado, I'm going to share. So, by the way, for those on Facebook and on Instagram, I will encourage you to, for those on Instagram, will encourage you to go on the link on the bio and click then on today, which is the 25th of June, on that link, so that you can enter the the YouTube live, because it will be there when I will be sharing the data and the graphics. Of course, you will hear what I said about numbers, but maybe the experience is better. And hopefully we can have more people in in YouTube that can interact with the rest of the group. And so we can have a better learning experience. Okay. So it's still pretty early in the live, so more or less it takes between 20 to 15 minutes to people to get in. But not to make you wait, I am going to go into the screen sharing here on YouTube. Okay, here we are. So again, remember there will be in total 7 Walmart sessions uh, preparing us for the webinar on the web workshop, actually on you as the enterprise. And in this Walmart session, we are diving into the world of freelancing. Once again, we are doing this in collaboration with Verve Media Localization, which is a long-standing company that actually works with a lot of freelancers and a wide array of language services. Now we have partnered up and we are ready to offer a wider services in terms of freelancing for different industries, also trainings on globalization and internationalization for freelancers and organizational teams. Okay, so thanks to Gorby again for partnering up with us. Okay, so what I'm showing right now on the interactive live here on YouTube is the picture of the top 10 countries that holds most of the freelancers according to the startup bonsai.com. You can go on the website and read more about it. As they find out, the USA holds 78% of the freelancers. This is a worldwide kind of data. Okay? The UK holds 59. Third place in terms of the number of freelancers is Brazil with 48% of the freelancers worldwide, 40% in Pakistan. Ukraine goes 36%. Philippines, 35%. I'm sorry, I think I was moving. This is 78% of freelancers return workforce. And then we have the Philippines, I said 35%, and India 29%, Bangladesh 27, Russia 20, and Serbia 19. So why is this data important? Because that shows us where the higher competition in freelancing is. And in this case, we can see that USA, Brazil, and the UK and Brazil is where the higher competition is. We need to dive a little bit more into other aspects of freelancing so that we can create a bulk of a strategy how to be part of this pool of employable professionals. Okay? So now here is a very interesting data and two charts. This is from truelist.com, and what I'm showing here is a comparison between the global freelancing community by location and the freelancers clients by location. So we already saw the United States has a large number of freelancers, but in this chart, the researchers are showing Europe, Latin America, Asia, and Africa. Europe being holding the largest number of freelancer community among these 4 regions by 35.5%, and Latin America being second, 29.2%, Asia 28%, and Africa 10.1%. These are the freelancers communities, excuse me, in these regions. Now, Where are the customers? The customers, according to TrueList, are mainly in the United States, like 36%. 36% of clients for freelancers are in the United States, 27 in Europe, 11% is pretty small. I would say that's compared to Europe and North America. Latin America has 11%, Asia 10%, Australia 7, Middle East 5, and Africa 4. Now, why is this important? Because then you know what markets do you need to do research on in order to enter to be part of the offer in terms of freelance services. Now, we can also identify where the wider number of clients are. Supposedly, you will have wider opportunities in those markets. But for example, if we go to Middle East or Africa, the research in this case um, from you as a professional is to find out within these 4% what are the industries that are actually getting more freelance services. And we will see specifics about this later on these sessions. Now, this is important, and I think is I would recommend that you can you get paper, you pen, and do this for your own self knowledge. Okay, why is that people go into freelancing? And in this chart, when we read about part-time freelancers or full-time freelancers, these two groups basically agree on the reasons why they want to go into freelancing. And the reason number one we find two in these two groups is to have flexibility in their schedule. Second reason is to be their own boss. I remember when I arrived to Taiwan in 1995 and started mingling with the society there, someone early in that year telling me that one of the characteristics of the Taiwanese society, later on I found out the mainland China is the same, is that they want to be their own bosses. So there was not much, or I would say that the entrepreneurship spirit among those societies is actually pretty high. The reason number three why people go into freelancing is to work from allocation from their choosing. So this is one of the great things about freelancing. You can choose, if it's a remote work, of course, you can choose whatever place in the world where you want to work for, and that is it's a great thing because then it allows you, take it for granted that you get the money for this, it allows you to travel around the world, to see other societies, to widen your view of the world, to learn different languages and different cultures while you're working. And this is something that we have to do. The fourth reason, now, just to make a parenthesis in here, so I mentioned the three main reasons, which are have flexibility in their schedule, to be their own boss, to work from allocation from choosing. Now, the percentage of people within this research who say that in both groups is actually very close. 79%, 77%, 74%. You see, these three main reasons have to do with freedom and personal growth. And actually, after I finish sharing with you the other reasons, we will see that all has to do with freedom that everybody wants to have. And by having freedom, take it for granted that you know how to manage that, uh, that you will have the money to enjoy that freedom. Now, the fourth reason why people go into freelancing is because they want to have a schedule that enables them to pursue their personal passions. This is actually very true. I tell you from personal experience or my story in terms of the freelancing job that I did when I was still working for other companies, take it for granted that I will not compromise or create a conflict of interest in my company and the freelancing work that I was doing. I took cases that were related to my passion, which is human behavior in corporate settings. So it's definitely, when you have the time to do it, it's very rewarding because it gives you a better understanding of the different phenomena that we as human beings actually face along our life, especially in our work. Now, the fifth reason why people go into freelancing, according to the research, is to be in control of their own financial future. And this is actually very true. And if we see the economic crisis we've gone through, and if we see COVID-19, for example, people who have their money, their personal savings, forget banks because we need them, but let's say you invested, you put it in a retire fund, whatever, many places where we've been educated that someone else has to manage your money. But in those cases, those who hold their money on their own were more able to survive the crisis. So, and this I have experienced also myself in terms of not really going so much for putting too much money into some my money into someone else's hands. So, of course, here we need to develop the skills of managing finances, our own finances, and it's an important skill to have in place. The next reason is for why people go into freelancing is to have independence from things such as office dynamics, and this is true. Of course, office dynamics could be also very rewarding because then you have people to discuss daily issues with you. You're a freelancer, you need to be able to also create teams that are not necessarily within the same physical space with whom you can actually exchange ideas. This is very important also to stimulate creativity and to deliver better results. The next reason why people go into freelancing seems to be to earn extra money, and this goes when you have a job and you are taking some freelancing jobs. Again, so be very careful in terms of not creating conflict of interest between your company and the freelancing jobs that you have. And next reason to be able to pursue work they are passionate about or find meaningful. This is what I personally did. I wanted to. I have many interests actually, in that sense. I got into learning different skills, which allowed me later on to do freelancing, in taking jobs, freelancing jobs in areas that I feel passionate about. It's really rewarding as well. And the last reason that this research shows is to be able to spend more time with the family. And this is very important things, right? Because in the end, we want to work so that we can create a life that makes us happy. Part of that happiness is to spend time with our partners in life, with our families. And sometimes, or most of the times, when you have a fixed scheduled job, it takes a lot of your time and energy. So when you go back home, you get tired, you spend less quality time with your family. So another, say, pro of freelancing. But again, it's always a balance into what you can take and what you cannot take, depending on the kind of professional path you take. Now, how do freelancers find work is another question that Truelist answers in the research, and 91% of freelancers find jobs through word of mouth and referrals. Of course, for people, for you to be able to get this recommendations from other people, you need to be there for a while and prove your worth. Because in my case, I will not recommend someone if I don't know that this person is a professional, serious, and knows the skills this person is offering. So 90% of freelancers find job through referrals. 48% of freelancers find jobs um, from website freelancers websites. You put your portfolio there, your CV, and then you start getting leads from people who enter these websites looking for certain ways of expertise. Outreach pitching, meaning you gather with people and you pitch your skills and your services. Um, 33% of freelancers find job from a specific job boards newsletter, 20% general job boards newsletter, and 23% organizations, clubs, and unions. And that tells you the importance when you get into freelancing, mingling with different circles is important. Right? Even when we join social groups, we are still um, facilitating the possibility to get some freelancing jobs. Not necessarily that you need to socialize with that purpose in mind, it's a consequence because once you join something in your life, you bring your skills and you complete whole with yourself. So another question, these questions, this data and this chart come from Elite Content Marketer, and you can go to this website also to learn more about it. The question is, how do you identify yourself as an independent worker? They use the word worker. I will suggest that we have to change our mentality by changing the terminology with which we identify. And I suggest that we enter the mentality of being an independent professional. And the reason is simple. If I'm going to hire someone with a skill, I want this skillful person to be professional. Later on, we're going to clarify some of this concept because it is important. But anyway, so according to a content marketer, um, most people identify themselves when they say, I'm an independent worker, as they use it, independent professional, they identify themselves as a freelancer. Now, it is important for us to understand how people perceive the term freelancing, and we will see this um, some of the people identify themselves as self-employed consultants, many of them, in different areas. Um, Side hustler is a little bit more casual. Founder, owner without employees, 12%. Founder, owner with employees, 6%. Something else, 4%. So the majority of the freelancing community that participated in this research, 38%, identified themselves as freelancers. Again, I would suggest that we start thinking of using the terminology independent professional because professionalism, in terms of work, professionalism is what really matters. How many different skills or work functions do you actively sell? Again, I suggest that you write down your specific answer to each specific question because it will allow you to know yourself better as an independent professional. So this research shows that 34%, so 61% of freelancers offer between 2 and 3 skills. 34% of freelancers offer 3 skills or more. And only 5% of freelancers offer one. And this is understandable. One task is very seldom or requires, very seldom requires only one skill. So, for example, you are a good writer and you also know how to use Word and you also know how to do presentations, for example. So this calls for the freelancers or those who are thinking about freelancing to maintain their training, to learn new skills, related or not, to the kind of service they do. better if the skills you have are complementary. Now, how frequently do freelancers work? This data comes from also from Elite Content Marketer. 37% of the day is on work for freelancers who participated in this research. So 33% of the day of the time is at work. 32% is weekly, 11% by week, and so on and so forth. Right? What's important to notice is that if we agree that freelancers actually are able to make a decent living from freelancing, they are working 37% of their time. That makes it more or less an 8 hours shift in the day, which is more or less the time that you will spend being hired by another company, minus the time to commute. Also minus the infrastructure, minus the other people in the team, the coffee and stuff like that that companies offer. Again, you freelance and then you get something, you don't get something else. Okay? It's a trading nature of getting something according to the choices we have. What is the nature of your work? So 33% of freelancers that took place on this research are on the creative industries. Now, I want to surely clarify one thing. So, by tradition, when we speak about creative industries, we relate to arts, performance, music, and writing, these kind of things. But this is not necessarily wrong, but it's incomplete because creativity goes to everywhere, from cooking breakfast to solving the most scary financial problem. So we all need creativity. But anyway, so 33% according to this research are in the creative industries, which are those related to arts, literature, performance, design, things like that. 21% consulting and professional services, writing, journalism, and content services at 17. And by the way, there's a lot of companies needing content writers and services. So for this, they are very happy to work with freelancers that can prove that they can be held accountable for the job that they get from these companies. Technology and web development in this research shows to be 15%, but after the COVID-19, really, and with the increasing dependency on technology, more and more demand for freelancers in technology are actually coming. 40, 40% of the freelancers that took part of this research is in any other different industries, not specific. All right, so what is the age for a person to enter freelancing? So we can see, according to this research from Elite Content Marketer, that Generation Z, which are the younger employable generation population, excuse me, make up 50% of the users. Millennials between 23 to 28 years of age, 44%. Generation X, 30%. Baby boomers, 26%. Remember, the baby boomers come from an education process where having a fixed job represented having a stable job. But freelancer could be stable as long as we learn how to manage that professional life. In the UK, the largest group of freelancers, so the data that I just gave you is related to the United States. In the UK, the largest group of freelancers is between 40 to 50 years of age. So what I realize is that there is a sort of, let's say, division in two parts of freelancers. But it's a little bit too different. Okay, so I will not go too deep into this, but we can we can perceive, okay, that a younger freelancer could freelance for new ideas and specific skills, and a more senior freelancer with work experience, of course, can actually freelance more based on experience and methodologies because they have that. So at some point in organizational development, with the size of the organization, the skill might be more necessary than the expertise. And in some other cases, expertise will be more necessary than the skill. So we can see what the trend is. Younger people are more willing to have freedom, and freelancing provides them with that freedom. But it doesn't mean that a 70-year-old person cannot freelance. My advice is that we need to end our days on earth doing some kind of job. In freelancing, when we advance in age and after we complete decades of work for by ourselves for other companies, it's worth to use that experience and offering out there. Plus, the future, as I mentioned, seems to be really good for freelancing, and experience counts as part of the services that freelancers can offer to companies and individuals. Now, another interesting fact in here is that the education level of freelancers is increasing. For example, in the United States, 45% of freelancers in the United States have a postgrad degree. And in the UK, 52% of freelancers have master degrees or so at some point, I remember when I decided to go into my PhD, people would say, "Oh, but then you can just find a job as a professor," which is it's true. It facilitates that part because the deeper you go into a subject, the more you understand its complexity, and the easier it becomes for you to explain it. But um, but people were not thinking about freelancing if you were a PhD or you have a master's degree. You are expected to be hired by a company and pay you a higher salary. But guess what? So, as we see right now in the United States, hello, Catherine, you are welcome again. Thanks for joining. In the United States, 45% has a postgrad degree, and in the UK, 52% master's degrees or higher. This number of freelancers is growing. So that has to do also this call to action is that a freelancer, or you as a freelancer, you have to be always improving your own skills, learning new skills. We already saw that the majority of freelancers offers between 2 or 3 skills and more. Okay, so again, get paper and pen and try to answer this question for yourself. In terms of your career path, which objectives are more important to you? This is important because depending on your objectives, or I would put it this way, your objectives in life have to match what you do somehow, or the way you do things. So, so Catherine is saying she has 2 masters. Perfect, right? So again, freelancing is not necessarily for people with skills. Say, for example, I know how to typewrite. It's not. I know how to use AutoCAD. It's not. You can have better, higher education, formal education degree or 2, and we will expect that if you have wider education, I would say wider formal formal education, plus skills, the result of the job will be better than those that don't have it. Not always the case, and it depends on the kind of services and kind of client. Anyway, so going back to the question, in terms of the personal career path, which objectives are important? In this research, they were asking for, is it flexible schedule of work-life balance? Here, I want to make a stop again. So we need to correct this, and I will be no humble at all to say that the terminology or the way to say work-life balance is wrong. And the reason is this: work is not only part of your life, it's a very crucial part of your life so that you feel that you grow. It's part of your happiness. So I would suggest that we need to speak of work and of work life balance. Right? You have to take work as a very crucial part of your life. Think about it, your adult life where you have no job, where you are not working. By that saying, doing something that for someone else, either for the market, for the company you work for your client, that represents an income. So from here on, we're going to be talking about flexible schedule between work and off work life, right? That balance. So that was that for this research is the most important objective. 71% of, no, 87% of respondents say that's the objective. And they went into freelancing trying to get that. Income via several diverse sources, and this is advisable. You need to have several sources of income, just in case that something fails, you have it. Partnering with talented clients and collaborators, this is amazing. This is something you can get on a one-to-one basis through freelancing. Remember that our knowledge, our capabilities are limited, and we need to be partnering up with other professionals, other people with the same level of professionalism, with complementary skills, so that we can actually offer, be stronger in the market. My partnership with Verbit has to do with that, to becoming stronger. Building own personal brand is a reason, 64%. Independence, like freedom, from freedom for having a fixed schedule to decide, okay, today I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m., but tomorrow I'm going to wake up at 11. Today I'm going to work from home, and tomorrow from the coffee shop, but I travel to Spain and I will work from there for 2 days, something like that. Freedom. Remember, I mentioned in the warm-up session 1 that freedom is good, but we need to be able to manage that freedom. It's a very important skill. Now, we're coming to the end of this warm-up session. It's warm-up session 2. And we cannot not talk about the COVID-19. COVID-19 influence on how the marketplace, job offers, the job demands. Many people lost their jobs. Many new jobs came up. Many industries actually boomed, while the others fade down. So we were not prepared for this. So, before and after coronavirus, elite content marketers also asked some people, some freelancers, and 51% of them say that they feel the same about their jobs before and now. We started to speak about after the pandemic, but we have to remember that we are still under risk because this virus is very complex. But perhaps it's not a pandemic situation anymore. But yeah. So, anyways, before the pandemic and during the pandemic until now, 51% of respondents say feel the same. 38% say that they are happier to have their jobs now than they were before, and that's understandable because during the pandemic, if you didn't have your job, that means that you ran short of money, and that created different kind of problems at home, personally. So having a job, whatever job it was, um, became such an important thing. Probably people started to appreciate that job more than now. What is the future saying, right? So one thing that research discovered about companies in terms of freelancing is that companies continues to face talent sourcing issues. And perhaps it's because the talent pool want to have different working conditions, such as freelancing or remote work. So, um, in numbers, 58% of hiring managers feel stretched to capacity due to limited resources and support. So they are not able to do more because they don't have the talent. 61% say um, they lack people or skills to complete all the work. We're talking about. And 50% of the teams have to delay or cancel projects due to the lack of available time. Mark this statistic because that means that there is a point. Now we need to do a little bit more research in terms of where are these companies, who are they, what they do, can I offer something? Okay. But for sure, regardless of what you do, there is an opportunity to offer an independent contract for these companies to work with. 48% of hiring management are working with independent talent today in the USA. Managers who see the value in remote work are engaging independent professionals as part of the daily jobs. Companies, this is 33% of those managers are actually willing or working with freelancers. 68% of hiring managers say remote work is getting easier, not harder as time goes on. So the pandemic, for example, being a bad thing really, um, gave us the opportunity or forced us to try remote work. And we realized that people could be actually very, very productive and even more productive when they work from home. Easy to explain. If you have to commute to your work, you already wasted energy in, on the commuting time. Right? So when you reach the company, you are already with less energy than not. And then you have to commute every day. At some point, it gets you tired. So your job becomes more a burden than an opportunity for personal development. Not that it becomes that, but it feels like that because you get tired. But then, good news, more managers are actually thinking that they are going to engage in working with freelancers. And so a little bit more about the future. Predictions of future for freelancing post COVID. Again, COVID is still there. It's not going anywhere. We just need to know how to manage, get vaccinated, and not get too crazy so that we can effectively do it. But anyway, so in the USA, 34% of all participants in this research um, believe that the demand of freelancers will slightly increase. This compared to 7.50, 41% that say will slightly decrease. It's a 3 times higher to believe that the demand for freelancing will increase. And that has an implication in how the skillful people may see their professional opportunities and how the decisions that they will make. In the UK, 60% of businesses say they plan to increase freelancers' uses in 2021, which is now, and that explains maybe why a large, the size of USA, a large population of freelancers is in Europe. So in UK, within Europe, UK holds like the largest number of freelancers. Hello, Rafael. Thanks for coming. We're about to end this, but it's good to have you on this. So what we see here, these numbers and these charts should serve us to get a little bit of a hint to how the world of freelancing looks like in terms of freelancers and in terms of the market that can actually open to us. And as we see it, it's a picture for the future. It seems to be very promising. Now, we need to be prepared. The more freelancers there are, the less skills alone are important. So the more freelancers there are, the more professional skills or professional attitude or becoming a professional becomes more important. So you can be a good painter, but not have a professional attitude, and that would limit actually your survival in the market as a freelancer. Designer, same thing. So more job opportunities, the same as more competition requires to be better prepared to face the market and to be able to get customers and to be able to build through independent through offering independent works to create the life that you want to create. So and use this career path to be as fulfilling or more fulfilling than if you have a job. Again, balance. So this is it for today with this warm-up session. I will see you on Monday with the warm-up session number 3. I will post you based on questions and comments from those who join different platforms. How are we going to continue diving into the work of freelancing in preparation to the workshop You as an Enterprise, which is going to happen on on July 8th. Okay, so I'll put you here, www.alternativesaim.com, You as an Enterprise. You can click in there and know more about that. The links for the YouTube live sessions are there, so you can click on the date. Thanks again. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. By now, those on YouTube, I'm going to end this forecast.